Good morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching Janata Television and this is English Bulletin with me, Utsa Bhatrai. The top stories first. Prime Minister Oli discharged from hospital. Doctors advise the Prime Minister to take rest. House panel directs government to scrap controversial deal. MPs demand action against those involved in security printing press scam. Government claims there is sufficient stock of medicines, urges people not to stock essential medicines. India shuts malls and bars in 2 states, adopts strict measures after first coronavirus death. And sporting calendar in disarray, coronavirus ravages top events. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has been discharged from the hospital 10 days after his successful kidney transplant. Prime Minister Oli waved his hands to his well-wishers as he was discharged from the Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital yesterday. He was taken to the Prime Minister's official residence in Balwatar straight away. The 69-year-old Prime Minister was admitted to the hospital on March 2nd, while his kidney transplant was conducted 2 days later on March 4. Doctors have advised him to take rest and to avoid people affected by flu as he is susceptible to infection. Deputy Prime Minister Ishwar Pokhrel, Foreign Minister Pradeep Gyawali and Health Minister Bhanubhakta Thakal, among other high-profile politicians, were present at the time Oli was released from the hospital. Prime Minister Oli had his first kidney transplant some 12 years ago in a hospital in India. The Public Accountant Committee of the House of Representatives has directed the government to scrap the process of purchasing security printing press from France under Z2Z agreement. Speaking at a meeting of the Parliamentary Committee yesterday, lawmakers said that the process to procure the security printing press must be scrapped and a new global tender issued through competitive bidding. The committee also directed the Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority to investigate the irregularities in the procurement process. The committee has also decided to seek clarifications from ministries and Chief Secretary regarding the government-to-government agreement and the cost estimate. The purchase of security printing press had led to the downfall of the then Minister of Communication and Information Technology, Gokul Baskota, after an audio tape in which he's heard demanding kickback for the deal was leaked some weeks ago. The PAC meeting, chaired by MP Bharat Shah, also decided to collect information regarding the cost and other processes included. Some lawmakers also said such irregularities surfaced due to lack of clear legal provision on Z2Z. At the meeting, NC lawmaker Minendra Rijal said few persons were taking advantage of the weak provision on procurement and demanded reform in policy. Likewise, lawmaker Birod Khatiora said G2G procurement process was misused and sought actions against those involved in irregularities. The government has sufficient stock of essential medicines, said Narayan Thakal, director at the Department of Drug Administration. Speaking at a program organized on the occasion of the International Consumer Day in Kathmandu yesterday, Director Thakal informed that the government has sufficient stock of essential medicines for the time being. Director Thakal also requested everyone not to make haphazard use of surgical masks.
स्ट्र्याटेजिकली नै बनाएको छ एउटा तत्कालको अहिलेको कसरी यसलाई चाहिँ नि म्यानेज गर्ने पूर्व तयारीको काममा अहिले लागिरहेको छ। अर्को चाहिँ भइहाल्यो भने के गर्ने भने अर्को प्लान, दोस्रो प्लान भन्छ हामी, सेकेन्ड प्लान भनौँ, त्यो प्लान पनि हामीले बनाएको छ। त्यो बेला के गर्ने भन्ने पनि तयारी छ। कहाँ मानिसहरूलाई सेवामा हुँदै जाने, खाना र चाहिँ नि वस्तुको कसरी चाहिँ नियन्त्रण गर्ने, यी सबै कुराहरू चाहिँ हाम्रो तयारी अवस्थामा छ। यसमा ढुक्क चाहिँ हुनुहोस्।
Thakal further said that buying and selling of medicines in high prices than that of the market price is a is a punishable offence. Senior journalist Tirtha Koirala opined that Nepal should replicate precautionary measures taken by other nations to stop the outbreak of coronavirus in Nepal.
Authentic न्युजहरु दिनुपर्छ र नआत्तिने अवस्था सिर्जना गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने लाग्छ.
Koirala also stressed that media should provide factual and informative news rather than those creating chaos in public. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back after the break. We continue with other national news. The Women and Social Committee of the Lower House has started an investigation into the corruption scam at Nepal Red Cross Society. The committee has decided to seek clarification from the office bearers and stakeholders of Nepal Red Cross Society based on complaints filed at the committee. The committee decided to investigate into the matter after it received several complaints citing corruption worth millions at Nepal Red Cross Society. The committee interacted with the complainants yesterday, assuring to investigate into the matter. Nepal Red Cross Society has been accused of non-renewal of its license despite being registered at the District Administration Office and affiliated to Social Welfare Council. It also faces accusations of denying audit as well as nepotism and corruption. Committee Chairman Niru Devi Pal stated that the Red Cross probe shouldn't stop under any circumstances. Lawmakers present at the committee meeting have also demanded strict probe into the matter. Lawmakers even suggested the government to take the ownership of Nepal Red Cross Society. MPs also suggested amendments and changes are required in the statute of the Red Cross as per the present-day need. Senior leader of Nepal Communist Party, Madhav Kumar Nepal, has demanded fair probe on the wide-body aircraft scam. Leader Nepal demanded action against those involved in corruption at the meeting of the International Relations Committee of Parliament yesterday. The government should be answerable for the financial irregularities such as Taragaon Resort, wide-body, narrow-body and several other scams, Leader Nepal stated. Those found guilty should be immediately punished, he added. Leader Nepal suggested the government to come up with long-term plans while undertaking development projects.
तारागाउँ को कुरा होस्, वाइड बडी को कुरा होस्, न्यारो बडी को कुरा होस्, यी सबैमा अनेक किसिमका प्रश्नहरू खडा भएका छन्। वाइड बडीमा त देखिएको बदमाशी छ। अनि त्यो भइसकेपछि त्यसलाई चाहिँ छानबिन गर्ने, त्यसलाई अगाडि बढाउने, कारबाहीको विषय बनाउने, जोसुकै होस्, छोड्ने कुरा आउँदैन। जोसुकै जुनसुकै क्षेत्रमा होस्।
During the same meeting, Minister for Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation Yogesh Bhattarai informed that the government has initiated technical procedures to convert Nepal Airlines Corporation into a public company. The construction process of Nijgarh International Airport has already commenced. The locals of Katgao and Tangia have also been provided with necessary compensations, Minister Bhattarai further said. The government will soon come up with the details regarding the directives given while buying the aircraft, Minister Bhattarai said.
विभिन्न मन्त्रालयका सचिवज्यूहरू सम्मिलित एउटा कमिटी छ। त्यो कमिटीको 4वटा बैठक बसेको छ। 3टा बैठक म आइकन बसेको हो। यी सबै बैठकहरूबाट हामीले निजगढ अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय विमानस्थलको निर्माण कार्यलाई अगाडि बढाउन विभिन्न प्रक्रियाहरू अगाडि बढाएका छौं।
The committee discussed about different suggestions and directives made by the committee and its implementation with Minister Bhattarai. And now the news from Economic Front. The price of gold fell by rupees 3,000 per tola, 11.66 grams in the domestic market yesterday in comparison to the previous day. The sharp drop in the price of gold was unexpected at a time when investors shifted their focus towards gold due to the coronavirus epidemic. According to the Nepal Gold and Silver Dealers Association, the price of pure gold fell to rupees 78,500 per tola yesterday against rupees 81,500 on Thursday. According to the association's fluctuations in the international market price have its impact in the national market as well. Meanwhile, the price of fine silver also fell by rupees 40 and was traded at rupees 820 per tola yesterday. Time for a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international news. Welcome back, and now the international news. 2 Indian states ordered the closure of public buildings, malls, cinemas and bars in several major cities yesterday, Reuters reported. According to the news agency, Mumbai and Bengaluru were subject to differing restrictions after the country reported its first death from the coronavirus. With just 74 confirmed cases of the virus and a single death, India, a country of 1.3 billion people, has so far fared better than elsewhere in Asia, Europe and North America. But experts say India's already overstretched medical system would struggle to deal with a major rise in the serious cases. A 76-year-old man from Karnataka state became the first person to die from the virus in India, Reuters reported, citing Indian authorities on late Thursday. On Friday, the state home to the software hub of Bengaluru and neighbouring Maharashtra, which includes India's financial capital Mumbai, both announced curbs that will impact tens of millions of people. Several other states in India have already announced more limited restrictions, including the closure of some schools. Iran announced yesterday that the new coronavirus has claimed another 85 lives. According to AFP, it is the highest single-day death toll in one of the world's worst affected countries. On the other hand, China, the epicenter of coronavirus epidemic, has reported decline in new cases of deadly disease. The outbreak in Iran is one of the deadliest outside China, where the disease originated. Several politicians and officials, both sitting and former, have been infected, with some dying from illness. With the recent deaths, the toll in Iran has increased to 514, the Iranian Health Ministry confirmed yesterday. The total number of patients has reached 11,364, said Iran's health ministry spokesman. Meanwhile, the Chinese city of Wuhan reported just 5 new cases yesterday. The second day in a row, the tally has been less than 10. No locally transmitted infections were reported in the rest of the country, Reuters reported. You are watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. The collapse of sporting events worldwide gathered pace yesterday, with England's Premier League, Europe's Champions League and the Augusta Masters golf major, among other competitions, swept aside by the coronavirus pandemic. As sports calendars were shredded worldwide, Formula One motor racing was in turmoil, with the first 3 Grand Prix of the season, Australia, Bahrain and Vietnam, scrapped. According to AFP, the Blue Chip Masters, the first major golf tournament of the year, was also postponed. England's cricket tour of Sri Lanka also fell victim to the virus, while the glitzy Indian Premier League was also called off. The suspension of the Premier League until April 4 came shortly after the French Football League announced that all League One and League Two games would be on hold until further notice. European football took a major hit when officials suspended next week a program of Champions League and Europa League ties. And cycling's first Grand Tour of the season, the Giro d'Italia, scheduled for May 9 to 31st, was also put on hold as officials feared the impact of COVID-19. The virus, which has killed 5,045 people according to an AFP tally, is accelerating just over 4 months from the Tokyo Olympics that starts on July 24. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin and the headlines once again. Prime Minister Oli discharged from hospital. Doctors advised the Prime Minister to take rest. House panel directs government to scrap controversial deals. MPs demand action against those involved in security printing scam. Government claims there is sufficient stock of medicines, urges people not to stock essential medicines. India shuts malls and bars in 2 states, adopts strict measures after first coronavirus death. And a sporting calendar in disarray, coronavirus ravages top events. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.